Welcome everyone. Welcome to Morning Sip with Rev Melissa. It's wonderful to be with you all today. Hope all is well and everyone is doing well. But it's time for our new series. So, sometimes things happen that require that you pay attention, right? Because, I don't believe in coincidences and I don't believe in accidents. I believe that all things work together for good. And I also believe in serendipity. Yes, that serendipitous things happen. And so that's what happened yesterday in thinking and considering what the next series would be, right? So I usually tell y'all I get to download and I know what the next series is going to be. And sometimes that doesn't happen like right away. Sometimes other things happen in a way to get my attention. And then I know, okay, this is the series. Like, because of all of those events, this is clearly what the series needs to be. So that's what's happening with this series. So yesterday was a 2 for Sunday, right? I did Sunday in Praise, and then I gave the word at my spiritual home, Rockland Centers for Spiritual Living, and the topic was welcoming the shadow. And that wasn't a topic that I came up with. It's the topic that most Centers for Spiritual Living centers did yesterday, because there's a theme and topics that most of the centers follow over the course of the year, so that we're kind of all in the same flow, right? So I delivered welcoming the shadow yesterday. I thought it recorded, and it did not record. It did not record. So I was like, oh man, it didn't record. Right? So I said, okay, maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll just record myself doing the sermon all over again, and then I'll have the recording. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, right? So one of my friends suggested that, why don't you do it on Morning Sip? And I was like, yeah, but a whole sermon on sip, that's not a sip, that's like a whole gulp, right? That's a meal, right? So I put that kind of to the back of my mind. And then things started happening, right? So I look at 60 Minutes. I'm a big fan of 60 Minutes. And Viola Davis was on yesterday. And what did she happen to mention? Shadow. I said, And then my same friend texts me, 60 Minutes, Viola Davis, shadow confirmation. Then this morning, I'm doing my spiritual practice. I'm doing my inspirational reading. I love Mark Nepo. The Book of Awakenings is part of my morning inspiration. And what is he talking about? Shadow. He tells the story today about an interaction that he had with his mom when he was a child. And based on his mother's interaction with him, her shadow self had interacted with him. And I had shared a story in my sermon about my interaction, my shadow interaction with my daughter. Right? So I said, okay, y'all. Okay. Message received. Like, sometimes it's like, how many messages do you need to get to know that this is the way you need to go, right? It's like what I said yesterday in our Sunday in Praise when I was sharing Dr. Anita's Won't He Do It, right? The universe gives us what we want, and then we keep asking for it, right? So I ain't asking no more. The message has been received. Thank you so much, universe. This week's series is Shadow. So let's talk about what is the shadow. We're familiar with that term, right? It's part of, it's part of the vernacular, it's part of what we say. Yeah, it's kind of mainstream languaging, right? The shadow. So I want to share what the shadow is. And so this term was made popular by the psychologist Carl Jung. And you're heard of Carl Jung, right? He does a lot of work around the dreams and shadow. Love him. So he saw it as the uncivilized, even primitive side of our nature. He believed that we needed to fully see this dark side of ourselves if we were to be fully integrated human beings. He also said that we can project our shadow onto other people. And when we see something in other people, right, as a unacceptable attribute, it's really a projection that we are placing on that person of our own shadow, which is, you'll just think about that. If you're around someone and you're like, oh, I don't like that person because of this, this, or that, that thing that you don't like about them is a projection of your shadow. And that's good to know. That's good to know. There is also a collective shadow where people unite their shadows in groups or societies. He saw this as a great danger to civilization when a collective shadow was projected. And so that still continues today, right? There is a collective shadow that projects, right? And we have some of the worst things that can happen. You know, slavery was a collective shadow. Racism is a collective shadow. The Holocaust was a collective shadow. Wars are collective shadows. A group of shadows that unite. A group of shadows that unite. So the dark sides of people that unite and cast this shadow into the world. We could so relate to that right now, right? The shadow is not ego. So sometimes people think that their ego is their shadow. Your ego is not your shadow. Your ego is part of your conscious mind. You are aware of your ego. It's something that you know consciously. The shadow is that part of us that we fail to see or even know. So some of us are walking around unaware of our shadow, right? Our shadow is dark to us. We don't know it. We don't want to know it. We don't know we have it, right? But everyone has a shadow. Everyone has shadow. Every last one of us. So I shared yesterday that I was preparing for the talk, and my intuition told me to go downstairs and look in my library, my bookcase, and one of the books that I have that I totally forgot that I had is called Owning Your Own Shadow. Owning Your Own Shadow. And so in that book, Robert Johnson, who wrote the book, said, no one can escape the dark side of life, but we can play out that dark side intelligently. The balance of light and dark is ultimately possible and bearable. So we can be intelligent about our shadow, right? So we don't have to have our shadow running amok, right? All over the place, just causing all kinds of havoc, right? We don't have to use the shadow in that way. We could use the shadow intelligently, right? We could train our shadow. Just like we train our thinking, we could train our shadow, right? So don't have an untrained shadow. Y'all know what that looks like, right? I know what it looks like. I know what my untrained shadow looks like. And she is a hot mess, right? So we could train our shadow and use it intelligently. Patricia's asking, how can one why can I say that word? How can someone tell the difference between projection of your shadow and an intuitive feeling about someone? Okay, so we're going to get into that when I start talking about the archetypes of different shadows, right? So we'll get to that. Distinguishing the difference. There's a clear difference between projecting your shadow and having an intuitive feeling about someone, okay? So we'll get to that. You'll just stay tuned in this week. We're going to get to that, Patricia. So Carl Jung's greatest insight about the shadow and the ego is that it comes from the same source comes from the same source, and they can balance each other. So to make light is to make shadow, and one cannot exist without the other. One cannot exist without the other. So you got to have the light. You got to have the sun to cast a shadow, right? You don't cast shadows in the dark, right? There has to be some light. So when you think about your shadow, don't think about it as the absence of light, because that is not what it is. There is light there. There is light there. And so we could use the light. We could use the light to support us in integrating our shadow in an intelligent way. So we ain't running amok, right? So we are not running amok. So welcoming the shadow, that was the topic yesterday, right? So welcoming the shadow means becoming aware of it and knowing that it is present. That it is present and recognizing when it is running the show. When it is running the show. So that is where we're going this week, y'all. That's where we're going. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about the 5 archetypes of the shadow. I'm even going to introduce y'all to my shadow. She has a name. Yes, she has a name. It's a good idea, I think, to name your shadow. So I can't take credit for naming my shadow. I was given this name by my soul brother Sekou, who has known me for many, many, many years, and he has witnessed the shadow. He's heard stories about her, and he decided to give her a name. So my shadow's name is Melly Raw Dog. Melly Raw Dog, and you don't mess with her. You don't mess with her. So I will share a story tomorrow about Melly Raw Dog and how the opportunity came for me to shed some light, and to check my shadow, So that's where we're going. So tune in tomorrow for the 5 archetypes of the shadow, and to introduce you to Melly Raw Dog. That's how she comes. That's how she comes. Melly Raw Dog, right? All right, y'all. So stay tuned. I'm excited about the Shadow series. I am so grateful for the way in which it came, right? The way in which the universe delivered it to me. And so I accept all gifts from the universe. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Like I said, if you need any support, I am here to support you. If you are interested in life coaching and doing this work one-on-one, we can do that. And it's more, we go more in depth, of course, because I'm just giving you a sip, y'all. You're just getting a sip. If you want the full entree with dessert and everything, contact me for life coaching, and we will do this together. Yes, we will. All right, y'all. So we are living life in joy, connected to our yes.